So it's rumoured that the Prime Minister may at some point this week, I use my words carefully, may at some point this week be in Scotland.
Oh.
If he is, and if he meets Anas Sarwar, what should Sarwar's message to the Prime Minister be? 5 months before the holiday,
clearly.
Probably, there's your train ticket back to London, Keir. Going to leave us in peace. That might be it. Or maybe he'll pay his taxi back, forget the train fare. I don't think Anas Sarwar, he'll welcome him with open arms. They'll be hugging and laughing and smiling in front of probably children. It's always children in it doing something, or
there'll be some sort
hard
of
hat.
Yeah, people. I was going to say some sort of engineering yard.
Yeah, if they can find one in Scotland that hasn't been shut down, thanks to fossil fuels levies and all that. But I think poor old Anas will put on a brave face, and he'll say that Starmer's an asset to Labour, and then he'll praise the Lord that he's returned back down to London when he gets away.
I mean, he does still need the UK party and Starmer on a couple of levels. One, if you look at the budget, I think there's no doubt that when it comes to two-child cap and the £150 off bills, Anas Sarwar did have influence over that. That's what he was lobbying for behind the scenes. So the budget would have been a lot worse for Scottish Labour had he not been down at the Treasury, dinning the Prime Minister's residence as well. And also, even though they're 17 points behind in the polls, I think that Labour will outspend the SNP quite comfortably.
No doubt.
And that is down to largely UK resources. I mean, the UK Labour machine is a pretty impressive thing when it is up and running.
Paid for by the trade unions, by and large.
Indeed, absolutely.
So let's see a bit more policy aimed at helping working people, rather than slagging the trade unions off, which you sometimes get.
So I think, he does still need, and he will get, the support of the UK party. So that's partly why he keeps so close to the Prime Minister. But we know what the problem is. It's the last 16 months of UK government that fully explains the 17-point lead.
It does. I mean, obviously, we've discussed this before. Anas Sarwar was odds on to become the next First Minister when Starmer got his landslide, and the turnaround since then has been nothing short of disastrous for Scottish Labour. But it does seem to have slowed down. I think, we're getting towards the sharp end now, and minds are starting to focus a bit more on, let's put the UK government to one side. Who do we want to run Scotland for the next 5
Scottish
years?
services, that's Anas Sarwar needs to make a selection, not about identity, not about anything else other than service delivery by the Scottish Government. And I believe there's a big report coming out tomorrow on the state of the NHS, which will be tough reading for the First Minister and the Health Secretary in Scotland. It's vital that Anas Sarwar and his team get on the front foot there and make sure that their attacks are aimed squarely on failures of service delivery. And by the way, if Anas can really get that moving, I mean, certainly the Record and other papers are very, critical of the SNP for service delivery. If he can make it about that, he's got a chance. And
it should be about the last 5 years and the vision of the future in a devolved context in the next 5. I mean, it shouldn't be a referendum on Keir Starmer. If you don't like Keir Starmer, you're going to get a chance to boot him out of office if he's still around in a few years' time. So this is not a sort of shadow Westminster election. This is about Holyrood. We fought hard for this Parliament. It's about the NHS, about schools, about council services, about tax decisions. We shouldn't sort of be conned into thinking that it's about another Parliament.
And you would expect John Swinney to have stuff up his sleeve on service delivery, because although he's trying to steer it away from service delivery as the main focus of the election, the Holyrood election, he's going to have something up his sleeve on that, you would think.
The SNP have done this successfully in the past in that they'll campaign in this election as though they are the opposition and to themselves, and talk about what's going to change if John Swinney gets in as First Minister, and this is going to change that. And you're like, well, hang on.
It's hard to see how they could portray themselves as the change vehicle, given that they've been in power for 19 years.
That's what it'll be.
But they remain to their core, I think, a party of relatively rebellious spirits, and they want the big radical change of independence. I think they've still got that appeal to the voter. All these years of government in Scotland, But I think to the voter, they still seem like a wee bit of a kick in the arse to the establishment, you know. So they've got that going for them.
I just wonder if they might hit the skids during the campaign if it becomes clear from the opinion polls that they're not going to get close to this outright majority. Because then SNP supporters will think, well, what's the point? You know, if they're within touching distance of it, then they'll be really fired up. But if it's clear that they're in line for 52, 53 MSPs, well short of the 65 they need outright, that's bound to damage morale and motivation.
It is, although it's also going to damage morale and motivation in the opposition parties if it doesn't look as though, you know, we're just going to get more of the same, the status quo. The SNP is the biggest party, but not a majority. You know, that's stasis. We've been in that position for so long now, and
but then you've got the whole Farage effect, though. That might juice up the election. I'm sure we'll get plenty of good headlines.
I'm told he might be visiting as well. So obviously,
Falkirk on this weekend.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.